What's going on, everybody? Jacob here, JK Productions. Your boy just graduated college, as you see by Mr. Owlsy right here. Just graduated from FAU, and what that means for this channel is you will start to see me a little more here instead of seeing Donovan's ugly face. I know, we all get tired of it. I get tired of seeing it. Instead of seeing him all the time, you're going to start seeing me a little bit more often. And my first video, I don't want to say back, because I made videos over the last couple weeks here and there, but I do have a little bit of a bone to pick with the Dolphins and how they really went throughout the offseason. I don't believe they addressed the biggest need on this team. The Dolphins went out and got superstar cornerback Jalen Ramsey, and I'm super thrilled to see how that works on the fields, putting him together with Xavier Howard. I think that's going to make one of the best duos in the league, as well as going out and getting Devon Achane, a very versatile running back, very similar to Raheem Mostert, that you get him in space, you give him the ball, he's versatile, he can get out of the backfield, he can get it through the air game, and he can really be a great addition to this offense. But these needs right here, I went into the offseason saying they were some of the biggest needs for the Miami Dolphins. And these ones right here on the screen, I think we addressed all of them. We got our defensive coordinator with Vic Fangio, obviously. We got our secondary shored up, Jalen Ramsey, like y'all just saw. We also brought in Deshaun Elliott from the Lions and Sam Smith through the draft. Got running back, got Devon Achane, brought the entire running back core back, middle linebacker, David Long. All of those needs, I think, were taken care of, and I am really not upset about. But to me, those were importance 2 through 5 on the list of what I think was most important for the Miami Dolphins. What I think was number 1, and I don't think we address it enough, is the offensive line. The offensive line going from last year into this year, depending on what metric you look at, the offensive line was ranked between 20 to 25 from last season, sometimes even worse, sometimes a little bit better, depending on what you look at. But it was by no means a good offensive line in a variety of ways. The Dolphins were horrid at running the ball, bottom 5 rushing attack, 3 concussions from Tua, 2, 3, depending on what you look at, 2 or 3 concussions from Tua. And it is a very important season for Tua's development, as this is probably his last real chance for the Dolphins to impress and prove that he's the quarterback moving forward. And doing that, the offensive line that we're going to be rolling out in front of him is pretty much the same exact one as it was last year. Now, the biggest issue last year wasn't the fact that these guys stink, and some of these guys do stink. 2 in particular, absolutely hot garbage. There are injuries to be had in football, and I don't think they did anywhere near a good a job at having measures in place in case any of these guys go down. Obviously, Teron Armstead is the one that I'm most referring to. We saw him miss 3, 4, 5, 6 games last year. When he is on the field, he is amongst the best tackles in the league. He goes off the field, and it completely devastates this offensive line, especially the guy next to him. This right here is what I have projected to be the offensive line starting day 1 for the Dolphins. So just running through it: Armstead, Eichenberg, Connor Williams, Robert Hunt, and then Austin Jackson at right tackle. This is what I expected to be. And this is pretty much exactly what it was day 1 last season. And when Liam Eichenberg was paired with with Teron Armstead, he wasn't a bad left guard. As soon as he went down, and then Liam Eichenberg also went down, when those two were separated, it was a night and day story for Liam Eichenberg. This is a make or break year for him as well. This is going to be his 3rd season. Originally came in as a tackle from Notre Dame and was very promising. A lot of good offensive linemen come out of Notre Dame. Eichenberg has not shown that. Eichenberg, or Donovan, as I like to call him, because come on, tell me that face doesn't at least a little bit look like Donovan. Come on, just a little bit. Connor Williams at center is not playing his true position. Last season, blocking wise, he did well, but we saw a number of bad snaps, low snaps, high snaps. Tua's not a big target back there, so if you're off just a little bit, there's a good chance it's ending up behind him, over his head, to the left, to the right. Not great. Robert Hunt, now, he's still one of our better offensive linemen, but I did feel he had a down season relative to his standards. He wasn't bad, again, by any means, but especially with the line around him, the makeshift offensive line we had, where, again, Teron Armstead was in and out of the lineup, Liam Eichenberg was mostly out of the lineup. God knows who was going to be his right tackle any given week, because they all sucked or were injured. Robert Hunt being next to Austin Jackson. Austin Jackson, we all know, he was not able to be consistent. Ever since he's gotten that operation coming into college, like bone marrow transplant, which, for one of his relatives is great and all, but ever since he's done that, he sustained quite a bit of injuries, and he has not been readily available on the offensive line. Going into the offseason, to me, the offensive line was the number one need. And what we did with that was sign that guy. If that guy walked past you on the street, do you know who that is? Do you even know who that is now? I know who it is. I researched it. I also kind of knew it going into it. Stan Feeney, a very mid offensive lineman from the New York Jets. This is the guy that, maybe he replaces Liam Eichenberg on the offensive line. Maybe he is traditionally a guard, so it's either the guard spots, and it's not going to be Robert Hunt. It's probably not going to be Austin Jackson on the right tackle because that's just not his position. If this offensive line isn't what it ends up being with Teron Armstead, Liam Eichenberg, Connor Williams, Robert Hunt, and Austin Jackson, I can see Liam Eichenberg's spot being taken out for Dan Feeney. But Dan Feeney was the best offensive lineman we brought in. We brought in some undrafted free agents. We brought back Kendall Lamb. We declined Austin Jackson's fifth-year option. This is not a good offensive line. And I've already said enough about how I'm not sure that Tua is the guy for the Dolphins, both ability-wise and ability to just stay healthy. And this does not give him the best opportunity to show his talent and show that he is the quarterback for the Dolphins. I hope Tua ends up being the quarterback for the Dolphins. It'd make life a lot easier. In order to do that, you need to keep him alive. And that's just something that didn't happen last year. Whether it was his own fault, the reluctancy to go down, being a very small individual, or the offensive line was a rotating door at right tackle, which is his blind side. Yes, it's great to have one of the best offensive linemen in the entire league at left tackle, but with a left-handed quarterback, it's the right side that is the blind spot, is the most important position on the offensive line. And when you're already starting with somebody who's not that good in Austin Jackson, and then you're just falling back down the pecking order, finding somebody to play it, I can definitely see another season similar to this when you have three guys in this lineup that were beat up all year long, two of which ability-wise are already very inconsistent, one playing his wrong position. It's a bit of a mess. And then you look at the division around you, especially the quarterbacks around you, guys that, the Jets offensive line is all right. It's probably the better one in the division. The division doesn't have a lot of good offensive lines. The Patriots have receded. The Bills have really receded at offensive line. But two of the teams have quarterbacks that, you can trust. And Aaron Rodgers has done it his whole career, mostly behind a good offensive line, but he can make it work probably behind a bad offensive line. And Josh Allen has the mobility, has the wheels that if he needs to get outside the pocket, he can. Those guys, while not ideal for them to have a bad offensive line, can make it work. Tua cannot make it work with a bad offensive line. His only option is just to get rid of the ball immediately and get it in the hands of his speedsters, which, that is the one bright spot, is that we do have the ability to get the ball out of Tua's hands quickly and somebody that can gain yardage quick. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, A-Chain, Mostert, somebody that can take the ball, get upfield immediately. So that is the one caveat of, the offensive line is really bad, but the offense is designed to get the ball into guys' hands that Tua doesn't have to hold the ball that long. I think he had one of the lowest times to release last year from snap to release. I think he also had it the year prior. But the year prior, all he had was Waddle. He had Devontae Parker, again, in and out of the lineup. Mike Gesicki, ability-wise, very inconsistent. Now he has those speedsters, so he can do it if he needs to. But when you're going into Tua's make it or break his season, you're not going into next offseason. If Tua misses 4, 5, 6 games, is Tua still starting quarterback? And let's say we do make the playoffs, but especially if we don't make the playoffs. Let's say we do make the playoffs and Tua misses another playoff game. Are we really walking into a draft with Williams from USC, with May from North Carolina, and a couple other decent quarterbacks? Are we really walking out of that draft without attempting to get one of them? I want Tua to work, but behind this offensive line and Dan Feeney, I don't have a lot of confidence that he's going to be able to play at his best. I'm very happy with the signings that they have made. Again, those 2 through 5 spots, but these guys right here, I don't have a lot of confidence that is going to be able to lead the Dolphins over the top, keep Tua upright, keep him in games, keep him out of the concussion tent, and get us to the playoffs and win a bunch of games. Do you have more confidence than I do? Let me know down below. If this is your first time over here, make sure to like, subscribe. Thank you all for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Take care, everybody.